Raleigh, North Carolina's current population is approximately 375,000. In a region voted at the top of the best places in the country to live, work, and bring business, an average of 1,000 people, including more than 200 children, are homeless in Raleigh-Wake County each night. Each of these people have different stories to tell of how they ended up homeless. There are many organizations in Wake County to help individuals overcome struggles such as homelessness. Some of these agencies also help people overcome addictions, to find jobs, and to learn how to manage their finances. Tanya Ward is one woman who's taken advantage of these organizations. Today, Tanya is 33 years old and has 2 children. Through the help of Passage Homes and Wheels4Hope, she stopped doing drugs 7 years ago, has established good credit, an education, and a job. She now owns a home and has supported her 2 kids for the last 6 years. Tanya now works a steady job as a home health care nurse. Here she is with one of her patients.
When the last time you checked your blood sugar?
It was 84 yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The day before it was 75. So
What time you been doing it now?
I be doing it when I feel like.
Thank you for being honest.
Until the 9th grade, Tanya was an honor roll student. Growing up, she never knew her father. In middle school, Tanya's mother, a single parent of 2 girls, moved them from Peekskill, New York, to Little Washington, North Carolina. About the time Tanya was entering high school, her mother had a baby boy. Tanya's troubles started in the 9th grade after becoming friends with a certain group of girls. It was then that she began drinking, smoking marijuana, skipping school, shoplifting, and having sex with boys and older men.
You know, even back then I was messing with older men, like I was telling you before. You know, my pastor at that time had told me, you know, looking for that father figure, that sense of security, because, like I said, I never knew my father.
Driving around Raleigh in the rain, between her home health care appointments, Tanya shares her story.
I've been going to in and out of prisons and jail since the age of 16. I first went to prison at 16 years old. This was long before the drugs. I was fighting, and I cut this girl across the head, and I went to prison. I didn't think I was going to get any time, but I did.
At 18, Tanya began experimenting with cocaine, and by 19, she was smoking crack. Caught in a vicious cycle of drugs, Tanya encountered financial troubles, homelessness, and prison.
I didn't really like the powder. And then there was this guy one time they used to supply it for us. And that's when I introduced the crack. And at first I didn't think I had a problem with it, but as life goes on, it shows that I did.
Overwhelmed with her troubles, at the age of 19, she decided to leave town and hitched a ride.
In 1995, I said I was going to start all over, get my life together. And I went to Richmond, Virginia with this trucker, and I ended up staying there. And I was living in the shelters and sleeping on park benches. And at that time, I knew I really was gone and I had a problem.
Tanya ended up staying in Richmond for about 3 months. One night in the streets, October 1st, 1995, she faced near death.
I was fighting this guy, and I got stabbed, and I thought I was about to die. And I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I was internally bleeding. I got a temperature of 107, and that's when they went in and took my left kidney out. And so I've been functioning well with one kidney since 1995. I came home, and okay, God, you saved me. My life is, thank you for sparing my life, and I thought I was going to change.
The experience, she believed, would finally be the stern nudge she needed to turn her life around. And for a brief period, things did change. After returning home to North Carolina, she got married and had a son in 1996. Although she tried to stay clean during that time, her addiction kept hold of her. By the end of 1997, she was back to her old way of life, the same vicious cycle all over again. Between 1997 and 2001, Tanya was in prison 4 times, all misdemeanors. Although none of them were drug charges, Tanya admits that they did root in finding money to buy drugs. During that time, in 2000, she had another baby, a little girl. This little girl still wasn't enough to make her change her life.
Anytime I wanted to stop using drugs, I would run from the police all the time. But then when I got tired, the only way I thought I could stop using drugs was go to prison. And so I would turn myself in. So May 21st is when I went to court. And I finally turned myself in. They gave me 11 months. And so that's why my clean date is May 22nd, 2002.
In prison, she was lucky to hear from another inmate about a program called Passage Home. This program has empowered her to quit doing drugs and to get her life back together.
But what I heard was that you can get a house, you can get a car, and you can get reunited with your children. That's what I heard. And that's all I was focused on when I got here. And so when the Passage Home did the initial interview, I was crying, I was sharing my story, and I felt so ashamed and embarrassed about my story. And so when the interview was over, I wrote them a letter because I didn't think that I would be accepted because I felt like I was such a horrible person. But now that I've been in Passage Home and on the other side, I see that this program was designed for somebody just like me.
Tanya was accepted into Passage Home. They put her in transitional housing with a roommate, and she continued to attend 12-step meetings.
In that time, I was visiting my kids. My kids were coming to stay with me every other weekend. And so what that 6 months without my kids doing for me built a foundation. It built up my self-esteem. It built up my self-worth. And it finally gave me some hope that I could do it. And by going to those 12-step meetings and going to the connection meetings that Passage Home has and the women before me that had been exactly like me, I think that was the greatest thing that showed me that there were some people who had the same history as I did. They'd done it. And it gave me the hope that I could do it too. And so then I'm starting to feel confident and believe that I can do this. So in the midst of all that, 6 months later, I get my son back. And he came in November. And then my daughter came in January. And my daughter used to call me Tanya. She was 3 years old. She wouldn't call me mommy, and that used to hurt me so bad. And but I had to realize that I didn't raise my daughter. And I never potty trained my children. I never had the blessings to do anything as a mother with my kids. And shame and guilt and remorse used to eat me up so bad. And but what I know is that I had to try, because there were some women before me that had did it and just kept saying, Tanya, you can do it, you can do it. And that's what I held on to. My kids have been with me, just me taking care of them, you know, and I know it won't nothing but the grace of God. And so I did everything I was supposed to do, and I was in a program. At 6 months, I got my first car from Wheels4Hope. I had saved up my money. I had repaired my credit. Had got my license back. Had completed the CNN course. Had did parenting, budgeting, and I mean, everything from my recovery process has been so smooth. I just sometimes be so scared that something's gonna happen.
Tanya is currently pursuing an associate's degree in medical assistance while she continues her full-time job as a home health care nurse.
I've never led a life so free and financially all right. You know, I haven't had to depend on social service. I haven't had to depend on a man. I haven't had to depend on nothing but God and the ability that He gave me to go to work every day and to take care of my children no matter what.